All right, good evening. I'm Steve Jenkins. I'm the Interim Chief of Police for the City of Portsmouth. Welcome to our quarterly Chiefs Forum. We're going to go ahead and get started in the essence of time. Obviously, I appreciate everybody coming, those that have interest in not only what we're doing as a department, but also the happenings within the city. We're going to start this off with a report from each of our district captains regarding talking about actual crime stats and data. Then I will follow up with them with some information about the department itself, some of our new initiatives that we're going to be partaking upon, and then we're going to open the floor up for question and answer. Okay? Obviously, some housekeeping rules. Restrooms are right outside this door here, both men and women, and we have water in the hallway if anybody needs anything. All right. So we'll go ahead and get started. District 1 will be Captain Richard Springs.
We have two primary focus areas for District 1. The first one being Prentice Park and Prentice Place. Kind of those and this graph just shows the 5-year average for incidents within that particular focus area as the dotted line, and the solid line is this year by month. And as you see, we were slightly above in April the 6 incidents, but since then it brought it down to where we're actually below the 5-year average for the past 2 months now in that focus area. The next focus area is Craddock, and that one also, although we did have a spike in incidents in the month of May, we have dropped it dramatically, almost in half below what our 5-year average is for the month of June so far. And now, a section I was called Making a Difference Together, and together meaning police and citizens. As you know, it's part of the mission of our department is to work with the citizens to make a safer place. This is Officer Breeding, and he was commended for recovering a stolen firearm during, he got when he responded to a domestic assault charge. Well, he only was able to recover that firearm because one of the parties actually told him, hey, that person has a gun. And like I said, it turns out it was stolen when he ran it. So yes, you can say, oh, it's a domestic situation. 2 people aren't happy with each other. It's not it's not uncommon rather for one to rat out on the other. Gotcha. Move on to the next. Those are the officers that are in Princeton, and in the month of June, they responded to 4113 George Washington. That's the BP station at GW in Bainbridge. And we went there because of a tip from a concerned citizen, and they were able to recover all of those firearms in addition to a large amount of narcotics, which are on the table. And if you see, those are pretty high capacity magazines that conclude a drum magazine for the handgun. Both of those handguns have on the backs of them what we refer to as a switch that makes them an automatic firing gun, as well as some pretty high powered rifles up there as well. And again, that's due to a tip from a citizen. And got one more for you. Like I mentioned earlier, commercial robberies, we've got 19 of them so far in District 1 this year. But after a robbery that was reported at 4,000 GW, concerned citizen called in a tip and identified a suspect. The detective was able to take that photo of the suspect, put it in a photo lineup, was able to positively identify that suspect with the victims, were able to take him into custody. Thorough investigation and interview with that detective led to confession of that robbery as well as to some others. And again, because of tips from citizens, we can't do it alone. In order to do our job to the best of our ability, we need the help of the citizens. And I just want to emphasize, we have several methods, obviously calling dispatch, you can call 911. You also have a non-emergency number, which is 757-393-5300. when you call in, you can tell them that you're a concerned citizen. So if you're worried about any repercussions or anybody coming back on you individually, if you tell them you're a concerned citizen, the officers don't have to go see you. They don't report that it was you that made that call. Of course, crime line 1-888 lock you up. Same thing. You can give tips to that can actually bring financial rewards. And we've also are now working with a P3 Tips Line app, where you can actually go on an app on your phone and put tips of either crimes that have occurred or any information that you may have. So again, appreciate the help that we've received from the citizens, because it has made a difference so far in District 1. And so we'll keep up the good work together.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Johnston. I will be reporting out for District 2. Our target crimes have been burglaries, aggravated assaults, robberies, and larcenies from motor vehicles and motor vehicle parts. That includes both the kind of door handle pullers, people going in cars, stealing change, guns sometimes, as well as those that are cutting out catalytic converters. Our first focus area was Old Town, downtown area. And as you can see from the same slide that Captain Springer had up, that our baseline is still quite a bit higher than our current year. So we are trending in the right direction, and hopefully we will continue to trend in the right direction with our crimes for Old Town and downtown. Our residential burglaries was one of our kind of hot spots for Old Town and downtown. As you can see, this is one of the heat maps for the burglaries. But I'm happy to report that that has dropped off significantly since this heat map came out, and we've only had one in the last week. So hopefully we will keep that up or do better. Next was our larceny from motor vehicles and motor vehicle parts. Kind of the same trend. It was a hot spot in Old Town and downtown. A lot of people walking around, pulling out door handles, going in cars, stealing change, stealing guns, stealing wallets, whatever they can find of minimal value usually. And that is also trending down. We've seen a marked decrease in that because we've increased our patrols in the areas, and we've had some foot patrols that people out kind of being seen and talking to people. Robbery, carjacking, we had a spate of carjackings fairly recently, and some of those were in Old Town. That was one of the clusters. They were hitting the parking garages, armed carjackings. And I'm happy to report, next slide please, that one of our astute officers saw one of the vehicles that was stolen in a carjacking and ended up getting into a pursuit with that vehicle, and then a foot pursuit, and was able to get at least one of the suspects into custody. And they recovered some firearms and stolen property, and hopefully will lead them to the rest of the carjackers. And we've seen a drop in those crimes as well. One of our other focus areas, which was not a long-term focus area, but more of a pop-up, was London Oaks and the area around London Oaks. We're having a lot of shots fired and a homicide in that complex. And so we put it on the board for some additional attention, and we got a lot more people in there. And there have not been any in the last 7 days, and this month to date, it's dropped off as well. So it looks like our efforts are working in London Oaks as well. That's just a graph of where London Oaks was, and the area surrounding London Oaks is in red. That's what prompted us to address it, and this is the current map. You can see it's significantly less activity. And these were our goals for July. We haven't reached the end of July yet, so hopefully we will make goal, but we are still working on it. We're working hard trying to make the city a little safer for Next will be Captain Bozeman updating his flight computer.
While we wait for Captain Bozeman, one of the things that was highlighted by the Captain Springer and also Lieutenant Johnston is the amount of firearms that have been stolen this year. So far this year, we have 207 firearms that have been stolen in this city. What's even sadder about that is 107 of those were left in unlocked vehicles, which is a major problem, not only in Portsmouth, but I would imagine across Hampton Road. So if one thing that I could definitely encourage the citizens and everybody that's watching is to be a little bit more responsible with your weapons. If for some reason you find it that it's necessary to leave a weapon in your vehicle, at least lock the door and make it secure. And because obviously they're falling into the wrong hands and they're being used for all types of crimes that we're highlighting here today.
I'm Captain Bozeman. I'm in the 3rd District, which is the Churchland area, the cities everything north of the bridge and the water. So for Churchland, what we were looking for in July was a 5% reduction in overall crime. We were trying to get range in the farm down to 1, our shoplifting down to 2, our larceny motor vehicles we were trying to keep below 13, and our larceny license plates at 2. And we figured if we focused really hard on those crimes there, that would bring our overall reduction down for the entire month. So far, as of the 25th of this month, we were at 1, so we've already unfortunately met that goal. We're hoping to keep it even lower. Our shoplifting, we're over. Most of those happened in the first week of the month. And so our patrol officers have been able to identify a suspect because 4 of those 6 happened in the same location, the ABC store in Churchland, which is what drives a lot of the larcenies out in the Churchland area. That same suspect looks like was involved in the other 2, which was at the AutoZone and the Harris Teeter. That information has been turned over to the Bureau, so they're working that angle there, trying to identify him so they can put charges on him, which should come very shortly. Our larceny motor vehicles, we're at 12, so we're 1 short. Hopefully for the rest of the month, we can keep it below that and meet our goal. And our larceny license plates, we're at 2, which earlier in the year was a big driver for us. There were a lot of those getting stolen. Next slide. If you look here, this is a 5-year comparison. It goes further back, sort of like the line chart that the other guys used. And you can see that Churchland, the numbers are a little different. Sometimes they're not as high, but the frequency's not there, but still the percentage is. Our major crimes that we always kind of focus on in Churchland that we watch as our guideposts are the shoplifting, larceny motor vehicle plates, branching the farm, and larceny motor vehicle. And as you can see, so far this year, we're trending above where we were the prior years, even with COVID in effect, and the years before COVID. Next slide. So one of the things that we look at is our focus area, and our focus area there is in the Peachtree Town Point corridor of Churchland. That's where the majority historically of crime occurs in the Churchland area. Through the different focuses there, we have 2 incidents of robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, and motor vehicle theft within that district. In May and June, we had 3 incidences. So the focus in that area is kind of actually, you'll see in another slide, it's kind of pushing the activity away. Go to the next slide. This is the simple bar graph. You can see our baseline of current year, we're actually a little below the 5-year average, but that's including all crimes, not just the main 4 that we look at when we try to gauge where we're at. Next slide. Larceny for motor vehicles. This is the one biggest driver in Churchland right now. And if you look up the map on the other side, remember I told you the focus area was in 322, and the focus area goes 322 and part of 312. And you can see that area is kind of void of larceny motor vehicles. With officers focusing there, majority of the activity then went above that area, and you can see there was a spike there and a spike in the River Point area, which is where that other part is by West Mulford Road. That spike in West Mulford Road was all within 3 days. And since that incident, we've only had 1, and that was from the second week of June area. We've only had 1 in that area since then. But if you go to the next slide. You can see here that when they started moving up and focusing in the upper part of 322 and 321, then the activity kind of pushed down below where the focus area was. So we still got some large motor vehicles going on out there. For this month so far, we're at 11. Our goal was 12, so we really can't give up any more. We want to try to keep it as low as we can. If you look here, you can kind of see of the ones that just in the pinpointed focus area, the hot spot, only one was actually broken into. The rest were unlocked cars that they went into. And again, they're taking small change, they're taking purses, laptops, firearms, way too many firearms. Churchland, beginning of the year, had a lot of firearms stolen. So far, it's kind of helped. Our CED unit went out and did a lot of pamphlet, educational activities out there, passing out pamphlets, trying to talk to the apartment complexes and stuff like that to get people to keep their cars locked. And it helped a little bit in those areas. Next slide. Some of the things that we're doing, we're trying to increase our directed patrols out of that area, our traffic stops, field interviews. We have our traffic unit really focusing in on those areas where the large motor vehicles are going. In our community enhancement division, they're trying to do bike patrol. Right now they're in power camps, so that's probably not going to happen. With our 321 area, which is the area up, kind of a maintenance area, we're still looking for an increase in activity there, as well as the same from the traffic unit getting out there. A lot of times the traffic stops will create leads and stuff like that from FIs, not always tickets and stuff like that, but just contacts with citizens. And then of course our community relations are part of that as well. Next slide. And our goals. These are the overall goals. As you can see, we were trying to keep everything on our branch and the farm was actually one. That was a typo that I messed up when I translated this over. The goal was to keep it at one. We're actually at one, so that one's there. The rest of them, 2, 13, and 2 individually, that'd be a 33, 65, and 66% reduction. Add in all the other crimes that occurred. If we could reach that goal, we're looking at overall reduction in crime and terrorism of about 5%.
As they transition to the next portion, obviously a major part of the topic that we're going to discuss is what's on everybody's mind is the gun violence. And what, if anything, that you can specifically attribute it to. The word gang comes out quite frequently. However, every homicide that we have had, unfortunately, we are at 24 homicides as of right now. But every single one of those homicides are not attributed to gang violence. Some of them are attributed to domestic situations that would occur within a home. Others are related to incidents between friends or families, and some of them are probably going to be what we consider to be justifiable, in that person was there for one intention, and they ended up defending their life with deadly force, and we're going to be recommending that they be cleared justifiable. And obviously we've had some that we would consider to be gang related. What can we tie this gang violence or this rise in gang violence to? Absolutely nothing. There is not a war over territory. There's not a war over drug money. It is sometimes just as simple as, you said this about me on social media, you disrespected me in a rap song, and for that, I devalue your life enough to hunt you and kill you. That's how senseless that it is at this point. So, with that being said, obviously, my plea, the department's plea, the plea from the city manager is for us to get involved, the community to get involved. For me as the interim chief, it is a total urgent call to arms. I've basically put every person in my department at this time on notice that we're all, including myself, going to spend some time on the street. It is that urgent. There are no hiding spaces within the Portsmouth Police Department. We are all working hard and going to be coming up with ideas to be able to put our people in the best position to be successful. Let me be totally frank with you though. There is nothing that the police department can do to stop a homicide that they are not aware of. Homicides are crimes of opportunity, and the only way that you would stop them is if you would put an officer in every home, every corner, every nightclub, and every other facility that with the ability to be able to stop. That's just the reality of it. However, there are things that we can do that can hopefully deter them from happening, such as the things that we are putting in place now. Violence interrupters, programs to give people opportunities to put down those weapons and move to something that is going to be more beneficial to them than these senseless acts of violence. And that is where we're going to be asking the community to get involved and help us take back your street, your city, and your community so that we can all live together in harmony. Let's go ahead and get started. So, one of the things that are affecting us currently, and is known across the country, is staffing. Currently, the Portsmouth Police Department has 85 vacancies for sworn positions. So, obviously, we've had to reevaluate and reallocate our forces to make sure that we can cover the most important things, which are our calls for service and then our investigative unit. So we've had to close some units that we would normally see to be able to throw at those heat map problems where you see that popped up and they were red. No, now we would have a group of officers that I can say, go deal with that. I don't have that right now. So now I'm having to say, Captain, I need you and me, we're gonna go out here and deal with this ourselves. That's where we are. We have 30 civilian vacancies, and I put that up there for a reason, because the civilians for us are our backbone. They do a lot for us, and often they get left out of the equation. So we have vacancies, and I put up here more important, yes, we are hiring. Be part of the change that you want to see. If you know someone that you think would be a good police officer, don't send them somewhere else. Encourage them to come to Portsmouth and work here and be a part of the change that we are working towards here in this city. We know every city is hiring, we know there's competition, but I believe that this department has things that others don't. That's why I've been here for almost 20 years. Currently, our reinforcements are in the pipeline right now. We have 6 officers that are in field training that we look forward to getting cut loose within the next several months. And we have 11 officers in the police academy. So for that, they represent for us reinforcement. We're obviously hoping to retain what we have. The city council, along with the city manager, has been working very diligently to make us competitive with our partners in the region that will hopefully stop those individuals that are looking for change to be able to encourage them to stay here within our ranks. And obviously we're doing a nationwide search. We're using a agency to assist us in getting our word out that we are hiring. We're not just relying on Virginia, we're not just relying on Hampton Roads or Portsmouth. We're going as far as our message will go. So if you know somebody military, anything, looking to relocate, getting ready to get out of the service, want a career change, tired of being a school teacher, tired of waiting tables, Portsmouth, we're hiring. Next slide. So, obviously, we came out with a crime reduction plan. And that crime reduction plan was a comprehensive plan that was put forth by the city in conjunction with the police department. And it was a holistic plan that we are putting together. One of the initiatives that you will see started in next month, is being put forth by the city manager. It's called Rock the Block. It is reclaiming our community one block at a time. And so how we're going to do that is we are identifying our some of our most crime-plagued areas, and we're going to go there not just at the police department, but holistically as a city, all departments, Parks and Rec, social service, behavioral health, and any other, and many more that are going to go there. We're going to attack this community and the issues there as a city, not just one entity going in to address the problem. With that, we're hoping that we can deal with some of the effects of trauma that are in the community, deal with some of the poverty issues, deal with some of the mental health issues, but also, from my standpoint, deal with some of the criminal issues. And they are everything from neighborhood blight, individuals not taking care of their property, which breeds individuals to come in and start criminal activity. Things such as a street light. You think it is not important for your street to be well lit. Well, guess what? If somebody shoots your street light out and you don't call, a few days later, what you'll probably see is somebody start parking there. And you'll start seeing that element start to creep in your community. So every single time it goes out, call. Because it is that important to make sure your neighborhood is well lit. Because you don't want that criminal element to start to filter in. Graffiti. If it goes up, it needs to be taken down. If you leave it up, then you start to see more graffiti. And what happens then is now you're giving the impression to those others that this neighborhood is uncared for. And the next thing you know, now those individuals are starting to creep in. So all of that stuff is important. Making sure that we take care of the community, making sure you take care of your neighbors. Those things are also really important for us to get our community back. Next slide, please. So some of the new initiatives, obviously we've talked a lot about, you've heard about ShotSpotter, that we are looking to get. We're looking at another one also by Flock Industries that is very similar to ShotSpotter called Raven. Basically what this is an acoustic type system that will detect shots. They both are very similar to what, one of the things that we want to make sure that we have is the camera aspect. Is that when the shot happens, any cameras in that area are getting turned on, and we're hopefully able to capture cars, individuals, crimes, and things of that nature that will hopefully give us a leg up to be able to respond to crime and give us an actual suspect to be able to identify. We're still in conversation with both companies, and so hopefully we hope to begin procurement of this by the fall. Next slide. So this is something that we've been working on for quite some time. This is something I'm going to be putting a lot of pressure on. Okay, now I put this slide up here for a reason. Online reporting system. Right now I think we're the only city in Hampton Roads without one. Okay, why is this important? Because at a time, I'll say this so that everybody understands. I don't have boots on the ground. So to me, technology is my force multiplier. Those are the things that are going to make it easier, because some of these calls that you see, I would probably have to send an officer out to be able to take that report. That takes away from those more violent offenses that we often want our officers to go to. So with the online reporting system, you can do that from your phone, from the comforts of your home, and even get that report, because all of these don't necessarily require an officer to respond to. This is something that we've been working on for quite some time, and I'm confident that we should hopefully have this by the end of the year. It is ultimately important to this department to help us move forward and give our citizens another opportunity to be able to communicate with their police department. Next slide. Cameras in the community. This is a topic that's come up quite a bit. So the first one, I have to give, this is why it's important for the citizens to be involved with the community. This was an idea by a young lady by the name of Miss Kentrell Devon. She had talked to myself and the previous manager about bringing Ring cameras and passing them out. Just an effort to get more cameras in the community. Well, unfortunately, some of the things that we used to could do, Ring was bought out by a different company. So we came up with an alternative. We're gonna go with Blink. All right, so the plan is to take these cameras and give them out to the community. If you don't have a doorbell camera and we're in your community, the plan is for us to provide you with this camera and with a free 1-year membership paid for by the city, okay? The goal is, obviously, that's gonna lead into number 2, is part of that is we're gonna start we're gonna partner with the citizens and business owners to do a camera registration. What we're hoping is that individuals will voluntarily say, my name is Mr. Jones, I live at 123 Main Street, and I have cameras at my house, and I want you to know that. Okay, Portsmouth Police Department. My name is Mr. Smith, I own this business, and I have cameras. So why is that important to us? So if something should happen in your area, and we are aware of it, what we would do is we would reach out and say, Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, we understand you have cameras. Could you look on your cameras and see if there is anything within this time frame? And if it captured it, could you upload it to this portal? What that gives us is additional eyes and an opportunity to hopefully capture those critical incidents that we're looking for that allow us to solve crimes. We're hoping that these first two initiatives will give us a leg up. We've already started the purchase of the Blink cameras. We hope to roll that out with the Rock the Block initiative. And so those first 2 initiatives, we hope that we are going to be very successful. There are other cities that have already started this, and they're having success with it, and we're hoping that Portsmouth is going to follow suit. The next one is the Real-Time Crime Center. And basically what this is this is going to be a center that is going to be able to allow us to monitor cameras, real-time, pan, zoom, and capture incidents at strategic places throughout the city, intersections, neighborhoods of high crime, things of that nature. We're hoping that this crime center will give us a leg up where we don't necessarily have the officers to be able to walk in patrol. So these are just 3 of the initiatives just in dealing with cameras in the community. Next slide, please. Earlier today, during the reset walk, I had an opportunity to unveil one of the strategies, and this is an old strategy, just something that we've lost. And again, this is about getting the community back engaged. At one point in time, throughout this country and in Portsmouth, neighborhood watches were very strong. You had citizens who would get in the car and just drive their neighborhood. And anything that you saw, I just need you to be a good witness. Don't want you to get involved, don't want you to put yourself in harm's way, but what I do want you to do is get me a good description of what that person was wearing, maybe get a tag for me, maybe tell me which direction they went. Make sure you look out for your individual neighbors and your neighborhood. And so I'm looking to partner with the civic leagues and see how we can resurrect this old successful program of Neighborhood Watch. I think that it will be beneficial to us that if we can get this Neighborhood Watch started again in some of our more crime-ridden neighborhoods. And when people know that there are folks out there looking at them, they're less likely to enter into your neighborhood and do these things. And this is a proven program that we're looking to restart. Next slide, please. Speed zone cameras. Chesapeake has already started. Suffolk is in the process of starting, and we too are following suit. speed zone cameras. I don't know that since COVID happened, everybody seems like they're in the Indianapolis 500. You get on 164, you would think you're on the Autobahn. I mean, folks are flying everywhere, and they're flying up and down our streets. And so one of the things we're looking at with the speed cameras is that we're hoping that these, a lot of people think it's to generate revenue. It's less about that than more about the additional cameras that you put in the community. Now think about this. On our major thoroughfares, these cameras would not only capture vehicles, but license plates. And a lot of times, when individuals are leaving the scene of a crime, we're looking for those descriptive vehicles, those plates, and they will give us the direction of travel, and they give us how many people were in the car. All those things are going to be important. And you think about some of the schools and some of the school zones where we will be able to put these cameras and what they could possibly capture. Again, I think this is another good opportunity for us to be able to put more cameras in our system, in our community. Obviously, I'm aware we have folks that are concerned about Big Brother. What are you going to do with my data? It's more about the government taking over and watching everything. But you know what? Freedom is not free. And at the end of the day, we're all responsible for as much as possible trying to safeguard the community, safeguard each other, and making sure that we have an opportunity to live in a society that is free of gun violence and things of that nature. Next slide. Some of the things we continue to do is two of our grant initiatives, and they're directly related to gang violence. One is our great program, Gang Resistance Education and Training. That is through our middle schools, and it is specifically to deter crime. We've had a few officers go through great training, and we're hoping to roll this out during the beginning of the school year and actually begin to do these educational programs and training seminars in the school. The next one is the Respect Program, where we're focusing education with students and policing existing courts and training. And as you'll see, it's a 9-week program that starts in the fall, and this is a high school-based program, and it's a collaborative program with many different departments within the city. And one of the good things about this as well is the goal is to increase school attendance, civic participation, and hopefully it will encourage them to graduate. Next slide. Another grant initiative is our GVIP, and it's modeled after Project Safe Neighborhood. These entail violence interrupters, and I believe Mr. Redmond last night, who is one of our violence interrupters, spoke on this at the council meeting and how their program is actually started to form and take shape, where they had additional trainer come down from Baltimore. So basically what happens with our violence interrupters, when we have a violent crime, our violence interrupters go to that community as credible messengers, and they go there, and they're there for nothing but to offer services and be a listening ear. They also have been integral in a few occasions with, for lack of a better word, squashing potential incidents between rival gang members just by conversation. Again, the thing I think some people forget sometimes, we're still dealing with children, kids in some cases that are looking for somebody maybe just to talk to. And so one of the things that I think we as adults have done a poor job is giving these young folks the ability to understand what conflict resolution is and how to talk it out. So we also have an intake worker associated with this that works along with the CSB, social services, and other mental health to make sure that our families that have experienced trauma as related to gun violence, that they are getting the necessary services. That is one component that is very new to policing. We often go into a situation and we deal with the actual crime itself, but you still have a whole family that's back here that's broken. And it's going to take the community, it's going to take the city to assist in helping to rebuild them and put them on shore footing. So also part of the GDIP involves not only the city but state and federal partners, the U.S. Attorney's Office, FBI, DEA, and we're doing what we call a call-in. We're getting those individuals that we identify as bad actors and saying to them that you are and your activities are no longer wanted in this community. And that if you do not stop, our intention is to prosecute you with everything that we have. However, before we get to this point, the goal is, here are some opportunities for you to put down those guns, to get an education, maybe a vocation, something that benefits you. This is what we're calling the carrot and the stick. But it's your choice. And we're in the process now of identifying those bad actors. We've had to modify that a little bit because things have changed throughout the state legislatively. Some of the things that that some entities could do at once that no longer can do. And so because of that, we are modifying our intentions with this program. But our intention is fully to help to have this rolled out by the end of fall. Next slide. So next several slides are the police department and your community together building not only trust, but working to build bonds. Next slide. Our POW Summer Camp. We've been doing this since about 2016. And what we do is, our officers, we have officers that take kids, and you'll be amazed at how many kids have never left the city of Portsmouth. But we have officers that take them on field trips, that are teaching them taking them bowling, building those relationships with that police, showing that, you know what, I'm human just like you are. We have volunteers that come and assist them. You have a couple where they've been to Busch Gardens, that's the Air and Space Museum. They've gone to the pool, you name it. Some of the same things that they're doing at these other camps, I have officers that are doing that right now. And that POW, if you don't know, stands for Police Athletic League. We've done boxing, we've done flag football, things of that nature. So that is a part of the program that we're working on. Because of staffing shortages, we've had to decrease the number of kids that we were once had. I think we're somewhere around 30 this year, 35 this year. At one time we were upwards of 75 and 80. So that is one of the remnants that we experience when it comes to not having the staffing and resources that we're used to. Next slide, please. Coffee with a Cop. We do this once a month at an area coffee shop, Starbucks. There's a wonderful one right here across the street that we have done it at. One in Churchland. McDonald's has hosted one for us as well. And again, this is an opportunity for you just to come out and get to know your police and have those conversations. If you have a problem going in your community, it's a good opportunity to come out and have a face-to-face conversation about not only what is going on and what the police are doing, but also hear from your officers to say, hey, I appreciate that, but how can you help me as well? Because again, and I'm going to say this like a broken record, it's going to take all of us to deal with this. Next slide. Police Explorers. So earlier this year, our Police Explorers, and if you don't know what those Explorers are, Police explorers are young people who are interested in law enforcement. And so what we do is we actually take them in and we train them at an age to be police officers. We put them through a basic police academy. We teach them patrol techniques. We teach them how to handcuff. We teach them how to search a building. We teach them how to talk to people. We teach them how to interact. And we're hoping that these folks, at some point, as hard as it is, we're hoping that they will stick to wanting to be a police officer, being part of that change that they want to see, pouring something into them at an early age. And right now we go up to the age of 18. We're working on a new part to bring what we're going to call a cadet program, where from 18 to 20.5, because you have to be 21 years old to be a police officer. We're working on a cadet program where we're going to fill that gap. So after a person graduates, that we'll bring them on to the police department and pay them a salary. They can't be a police officer, but there are other jobs that they can do that will be beneficial to us within the department. So we're looking at right now bringing that. We've already reallocated a couple of positions from other things to be able to get that together. And we're hoping to be able to start advertising for that here soon. Again, this is a new and innovative way for us to try to fill our ranks. People have to see policing different, and we're hoping that if we can show them the other side of policing. That's why I encourage everybody, if you've never been to the Citizens Academy, please go. If you ever want to do a ride-along, please go. TV's one thing, it's great, but it's something about getting in the car and seeing it real life. Not just how your police officers act, but see how your citizens treat your police officers, because that's important to see too. Next. Earlier this year we did law enforcement torch run, something we do every year, and it benefits our Special Olympics. For us, we took the torch from Norfolk, brought it over via boat. We picked it up at High Street Landing, and we took it to the Wawa up on London, and I believe Suffolk took it from that point, and it goes all the way up, and we just passed the torch. And obviously it's an effort to raise money for Special Olympics. It's one of the things that many of our officers over the years have gotten excited about, and we continue to be supporters of Special Olympics. Next slide. One of the positive images that you'll see, it's another thing that we have done. We're doing what we call these surge patrols, where we're actually working with not only Virginia State Police, who is here assisting us with personnel, but we're actually putting additional officers on the street through either voluntary or overtime or voluntold. Hey, you won't work. That's what it is. All right. But during this opportunity here, we actually had officers doing what we passing out popsicles to the community. Again, another opportunity for our officers to engage with the community, have those conversations, and for not only adults but children especially to see us in a different light. And I'm gonna say this: one of the things I always used to hate, and every officer in here can attest to it, being in the line behind somebody that's got kids, and they say, if you keep acting up, I'm gonna send them with you. That's the worst thing you should do, because you're teaching that child already to be afraid of the police. Okay? I say, then they can come with me, they're going with you, because that's your responsibility. And that's part of what's missing, what we got going on. We need some parents to step up and be parents. I'm gonna stop there because I don't want to rant. Next slide, please. All right, some upcoming community events that we have coming along. Of course, the State's Community Walk, which is tomorrow at 5:30. Obviously, we encourage everybody to come. Understand what this is about. This is about not only us being in that community as a police department, but also you having the opportunity to get out and talk to your neighbors. That's what it's about. Re-engage with your neighbors. Let's break down those privacy fences. I know you live next door. You'd be amazed at how many people don't know the people who live next door to you. That's a problem. That's a problem. It was never that way. So the next one is Honoring Heroes Car Show. That's going to be at 2882 High Street. Airline Boulevard. That's going to be a really nice event. I'll probably be out there with my 72 Buick showcasing, but it's going to be a really nice event. Encourage you to come out, see some old classic cars, some of you which may have, or some of you may remember. Nostalgia's sake, when I used to have a 56 or whatever, you know, those things. One of the big things that we're about to have, National Night Out. It's going to be August 2nd. It's going to be one of the biggest ones we've ever had. It's going to be something we've never done before, in the manner of we're having as many communities as possible be in one centralized location. And that's going to be next Tuesday at Portsmouth City Park from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. We have multiple, 48, I'm sorry. We have multiple vendors that are going to be there. We have city representatives that are going to be there. We're going to have a touch a truck. It's going to be more of a carnival style event this year. And we have a touch a truck where kids can not only touch police cars, fire engines. We're hoping that Nightingale is going to be available. They're scheduled to come. So they'll have an opportunity to see a helicopter. Some of our other apparatuses, we'll even have the boat out there, but I don't think they'll be able to get on that. But we'll have it out there. They can see it from City Park. But Maryview is coming. We're doing breast camp. Folks will have the opportunity to get mammograms, voting, registration, a little bit of everything. But it's an opportunity for us to get together and understand what National Night is. It's our opportunity for us as a city and as a community to say, the crime is not wanted here, and this is us getting together and showing the strength of Portsmouth, who we are underlying, even with our differences. This is us who we are, and that we do have the ability to come together. Kyle Summer League camp ends, and our bash will be August the 11th. It's going to be at Safety Town, and then also we will have Police Explorers Academy, and I think we're accepting applications for that from August 15th through the 26th. You're looking for something for your son or daughter to do, and they might have a slightest interest in policing. Be something for them to come out and say, hey, let me see what they have. Next slide. Again, National Night Out, August, Coffee with a Cop will be announced on our Facebook page. Community Walk, and again, just who put this slide? Anyway. We're going to end it right there. If y'all heard this. Thank you. All right, so we're going to turn this over to Victoria. We're going to open this up, obviously, for questions, comments. Y'all heard from us. We definitely want to hear from y'all, suggestions, ideas, and an opportunity to have some good dialogue. Okay?
So we're going to go in our question and answer portion. It's going to be 2 minutes per person to ask their question. And we're going to hold it for about 10 to 20 minutes so we don't take up too much time. Everyone can get home for supper. So who would like to ask a question first? You, ma'am.
Are you able to tell me who are the bad actors who are shooting at the interstates? Like on 264. Who are these people? Is it gang related? Road rage? Yeah, who are they?
So the question was, if I could tell her who are the individuals that are, we've seen over the last several weeks, several incidents across Hampton roads of individuals shooting on the interstate. To be frank with you, I cannot tell you. And we've had conversations with the state police who handles most of those. Some of them are definitely just road rage incidents where they have witnesses that saw one person cut another person off, and and the next thing you know, they're going back and forth and they end up shooting at each other. There are others that we are able to relate to gang incidents, so we have a little bit of everything wrapped into this. The one thing, a bit of advice that I would tell you today, you must be in control of your anger, specifically when someone does something very stupid on the interstate. Because what you don't know is what their intentions are. And something as simple as you walk riding up to them and flipping them some type of hello in some other manner, may be enough to incite them to, pull out a gun and shoot at you. So again, remember, it's about surviving and then you get home. We're working very diligently, and we had some conversation about expanding ShotSpotter and things like that to the interstate. Partnering with VDOT to see if they can assist us with that as well, so that when we have those incidents, a lot of times you either have people who see it and say, hey, well, there was another car behind me, they probably called. I will also tell you, if you see something, we say it all the time, say something. Don't assume that the person that's with you or beside you is going to call. Just because they call, just because you call, we're hoping they call. And if we get 2 or 3 more people call, then we know that obviously there's an issue. We do get prank calls. There are situations where we've had an officer sitting close to maybe a drug house, and somebody puts in a fake call so they can draw the officer away so they can move their stash. That happens. Okay? So, sometimes we have to be mindful of the games that get played by our criminal element, because they're the last thing that you can consider them as done, because they're not.
All right, let's go for another question.
Yes, sir.
Not so much as a question, but a comment. You mentioned 2 things that got my attention. One is the real-time crime center.
Yes, sir.
And secondly was the police academy,
Yes.
Citizen Police Academy. My wife and I both graduated from Portsmouth Citizen Police Academy, and also the Virginia Beach Citizen Academy, and the FBI one as well.
Yes, sir.
My concern is when you talk about the real-time crime center, staffing probably is going to be an issue. Would you consider using volunteers to augment the staffing that you would have in that crime center, specifically graduates of the FBI or the Portsmouth Citizen Police Academy, or other volunteers that have gone through background checks and so forth to augment, to monitor those cameras and so forth? Virginia Beach does that on the ocean front now with their center. They monitor the cameras and they have volunteers doing that.
That's an outstanding idea. That's an outstanding idea. And yes, sir, I'll tell you, I would definitely consider it. It's not something that we had considered in that conversation, but it is an outstanding idea, and I think that something that should be easily to implement. We have auxiliary police officers right now who are volunteers, who are sworn. I started as an auxiliary police officer. So I think that is something that could be beneficial, and I appreciate that. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Citizens coming up with ideas to help us take back our community. And I appreciate that tidbit, because I'm going to definitely have that written down and look at it. So, are you working in Virginia Beach now?
No, I was the clerk of court out in Virginia Beach,
Oh,
but
you live in Portsmouth? You live in Portsmouth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I look forward to you being on that volunteer.
All right, another question?
Yes, sir.
From being in the community, I say since 2015, and realizing what's happening, and we talk about the no snitching, okay? Because I grew up here, I came from Hawaii, I took over my family house and everything, so I know, what's happening. One reason they don't snitch, let me go here, is because they still live there. When you don't have a witness protection program, I can maybe break a big homicide case. But if I'm going to the same house, okay, the same neighborhood, more than likely my life will be in danger. This is the way they're looking at it. So when people say, well, why they're not talking? Because they go back to the same neighborhood. Until somebody comes up with the funds to be able to say, okay, we really want to deal with this situation and have something of magnitude, you're gonna continue to have nobody saying nothing because they got to go back to the same neighborhood and live with the same people.
So, what he's saying is absolutely true. Worked homicide for a number of years. And unfortunately, I would say this, there are not many homicides in this city that the police don't know who did. In order to prosecute a homicide, you have to have at least two things. You have to have a witness or evidence. And if you don't have those things, then you can't prosecute your case. Witnesses sometimes come forward, and then they get scared and they leave. So you think in terms of what he's saying directly, we are working on identifying funding. We've already started talking with the city manager about putting that into a budget line where we can at least have the ability to maybe move folks, maybe put them in a safe location during the court process, anything to entice folks to come forward. But we also have to understand the fact that, one, I really hate the fact that we call it snitching, because people need to understand what snitching is. If me and Lieutenant Branch decide we're gonna go rob a bank, right? He the getaway man, I'm gonna go in and do the crime, right? And for some reason later on, I get caught, and when the detective say, well, who was with you? I say, Lieutenant Branch. That's a snitch, okay? But if Captain Springer walks out of his house and sees Chief Jenkins breaking into his car and he called the police, you know what he is? He's a good citizen and being responsible for his neighborhood. You were supposed to call the police when you see something going on in your neighborhood that's not supposed to be. Let's understand that. And again, I've said it before and I will continue to say it. All it takes for evil to continue to prevail is for a good man to do nothing. There is a call to arms by every single person in this room, every person that lives in this city, across Hampton Roads in this country, to get involved and start taking back our community. It is that important. There are only a few, and I say a few, it sounds like that everybody's out here shooting guns at each other. It's not true. It's not. I can tell you that there are very few people in this city that are running around and they're terrorizing our city. Most of the people in this room can attest that if the neighborhood that they live in is probably that one house on your block that makes your whole block bad. It's one house. And I'm telling you, it's the same thing when it comes to offenders in this community. It's a small group that have gotten together, and it is ultra hard for us to either prosecute because they're juveniles and the laws are different. Because we don't have a witness that's want to come forward and say, I want to cooperate because I know what happened. So again, it circles back to part of what he was saying about giving them opportunities to be able to be safe. Because again, as a police department, I cannot sit an officer on a person's house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until we go to court. I don't have the resources for that. That's not realistic, and there's no police department that has that ability around here. So we do have to identify some other alternatives, and that was part of what Mr. Redmond said last night at the city council meeting, was that other places have already started to identify that. You would always see stuff like the Witness Protection Program at the federal level. Federal's got big pockets. Okay?
All right, let's go somewhere else.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say this, and I've been to the city council meetings with the same concern. We here in City Hall have opportunity to be unique nationwide, and to prevent crime, are you open to other initiatives?
Absolutely.
Expand.
Listen, sir, I said this, I don't know how long I'll be here, I don't know, I plan to be here. I have every intention to be here, but regardless of whether I'm in this seat or where I was before, I'll say this probably on behalf of every chief around Hampton Road. We don't have all the answers. We are looking for those individuals who want to get involved, who might have a good idea, like this gentleman said, with volunteers coming in and manage the crime center. You know what? We're looking for stuff like that. And so that Blink initiative, Ms. Devin gave me that initiative. So if you got something,
Yes, I just want to say,
Okay.
those that you have are great.
Yes, sir.
And I'm old school. The only one that I knew that did work
Yes, sir.
was the neighborhood watch.
Yes, sir.
And not only, you guys in the police, I think all you guys served out, one of the officers in here, we used to come out to our community, Mr. Henderson here. And I think that's a great initiative to bring that program back, but you need to expand on it. Because we're sitting in a position right here in the city of Portland where we can be unique nationwide with that initiative and with others that we are our organization. I'll give you a call.
Yes, sir. Give me a call. Absolutely. I'm accessible. You'll see me a little bit earlier. All right. So please give me a call.
All right, I think we got a question right here.
Yeah, hello, my name is Chris Williams.
Mr. Williams, you talk louder than that. Come on now.
I know I'm trying to really not, get amped up, but it's two things. I was thinking about the neighborhood watch myself. It's the era that I came in Bozeman. I'm 10 times a bigger guy. I have over 27 years of lived experience when it comes to crime. I normally call myself a professor of crime, simply because I lived it. I was involved in it, I participated. And so with that being said, I learned a lot about how to do it and how to get arrested when you do it, right? So one of the things about the neighborhood watch in our era, they were older, kind of like military guys that retired, and they had no fear. See, the challenge that we're going to be faced with today is the fear is different. And so do we have the people who are willing to take that risk? Look at the room. I would have thought that this room would be filled today. But people like to hold people accountable, but they don't want to become accountable. Because if we did enforce this room, people should be standing around walking. And so that is the challenge. That is one of the concerns about, neighborhood watch. The other thing is be part of the problem, be part of the change that you're trying to create. And I'm going to say it again, look at the room. So that is the challenge. That's the elephant in the room, that people have to care about their community. People have to care about their community. And if people don't, and I told the story last night when Judge Johnny Morrison was the prosecutor attorney, and we was out of Bible selling our drugs and doing all our stuff. He went and galvanized the neighborhood that we was in. And he got the people, as a prosecutor attorney, to walk behind him with signs and say, we're gonna get you, we're gonna get you, we're gonna get you, and we're gonna get you. But he was able to get the support of the people. If the Portsmouth Police Department, and Mr. Dick, we can go get any chief of police from anywhere in the country. If he don't have two things, he will not be successful in fighting crime. Whatever war you've ever heard that we have fought as a country and we did not advocate money. He has to have money to fight crime. The CI that was on my case when I got indicted in 1987, they sent him to Florida.
Sir, we're going to have to move on to the next question.
They sent him to Florida. simply because they thought that he feared his life. And that's what the gentleman was saying right there. You'll never have people if you can't put them somewhere and protect them.
All right, any other questions before we close?
I have one. And this is like, it's real. I decided to join the security team for Portsmouth, Virginia. To me, to some, would probably a running joke because of who I am. I'm Earl Lewis because of William Chapman that lost his life in the city. But I went all the way through the interview, and when I got to the end of it, they did, I guess, a lie detector test. And the officer said to me, he said, "You didn't breathe." I'm like, I didn't breathe, but I answered all the questions, sir. And so he asked me the same thing, answered all the questions. But what I'm telling you, Chief, that going back to what he said, I'm a veteran, 13 years in the Army, infantry, soldier, 20 years at the fire department. We're going to a fire and save a life. But here I am, wanting to volunteer for my city, just as a security officer. Okay, I'm basically a custom security officer, in every security company. But what I'm saying to you is this: your security team can make a difference. And when they didn't hire me, Earl Lewis, that was an insult to my intelligence, but I left it alone. Okay, but I wanted to see, could I get hired? And my background is immaculate. But was it discrimination? I can't say. Or was it because they discriminated against me because my cousin got killed in the city? I don't know. But I never said nothing. But piggyback on what he just said, is veterans in this community who care. I'm a veteran. I came back and took over my household. I came back and took over my neighborhood. And I went in the community and trained people. But see, these are the things that are overlooked. Until you give us the opportunity, who are veterans, who cares enough to come back to community and still putting us over here. And why the officer made that decision that day, I don't know. He looked at me, he opened the door with a crack, and he said, "I don't know what to do." That's what he said to me. My background, I can go into the White House and sit down and eat with the president. That's how good I am. But I grew up in Portsmouth and was a Portsmouth police officer who made a difference in my life. Okay, so my endeavor to this is so deep, but going to trying to get employment as a security officer and didn't get hired, what was wrong with that picture?
All right.
Mr. Lewis, I'm gonna tell you something.
Go for it.
I don't disagree with you. There are many things that we are working to fix. I can't tell you why I know people, I'm being candid. I know people who applied here and weren't hired, but went to other cities and worked. I can't tell you, but we're working right now to make sure that we are hiring the best and the brightest. And if you want to work in this city and you have the proper background, regardless of who you are or the way that you look, then you will work here in this city. That is my commitment as of right now, as the police chief or interim police chief. But we also have another component that we have to work around because we are part of a civil service. So.
All right. We're going to go ahead and close it because we're running up on time. Okay, we'll just take you.
I just would like to know, what are some of the measures that the police are using for community collaboration with the parents and not the adults? Like with established reports with parents and not the kids.
Well, one of the things is this right here. If you got a kid, why are you not here? You should be concerned enough to find out what in the world is going on right now and how can I keep my kid from getting involved. This is exactly what he was talking about. Again, I said we got coffee with a cop. If you're concerned, I don't know many kids who drink coffee, but why don't you come out and have a cup of coffee with the police department and have those crucial conversations and let's talk about ways to get involved. How can I help? What do I need to look for if my son or daughter is joining the gang? What should I be seeing? We did a forum yesterday at First Baptist Taylorsville. These things are put out there not just so, because believe it or not, I don't like to speak in front of people. I've shied away from this my entire career. You show me a camera and I'll do like this on you. I don't, this is not something I like to do, but it's part of the job. But we had a forum yesterday. Where were the people who wanted to know what was going on in their community?
Can I just want to answer
Yes.
that one last thing. I know that, I live in Chesapeake, but I'm a school counselor at Waterview, and I know for a fact that a lot of parents don't have transportation. They can't come or get to parent-teacher conferences because they don't have transportation. So therefore, even the parent night out, I was wondering, how would some of those parents get to the city park if they live in London Oaks? Because those are the kids that I advocate for.
Understood. So we are working to make sure that we are able to provide some levels of transportation, but I also want to be realistic. And you know, some people might not like what I'm about to say, but we're the police. We're going to do everything we can for the community, and you know, we work with the school system. They've given us buses. We got some folks we got officers that got CDLs, but you know, we can't be all things. I gotta be honest. We can't do everything. And so there are other components, then that's where we're looking at volunteers. If you know this is an issue, then I'll tell you what, what's your name? Miss Gibbons, I'll tell you what, could you set up with the school system and get some volunteers who would be willing to go out and pick some of these folks up and bring them to National Night Out, where we will engage with them, have a good time, and then we will take them home. Can you take that up for me?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, thank you. That's what we're looking for. Some engagement with citizens getting involved and not just looking for others to fix the problem. Get involved in your community. Get involved with those issues and problems that you see, and don't think that somebody else is going to fix it. You fix it. We can do it together. So, anybody else have any questions? I want to give everybody an opportunity. Okay. Let me say thank you all for coming out. Obviously, this is something that we do every quarter. For individuals, I'll be in the back if you need a card or something of that nature. I'm accessible, and my command staff is accessible, my officers are accessible. We're going to be out and about as much as possible, but we're committed to this city, to addressing crime. We're committed to the citizens to get out and to know you, and for you to know us. But we really and truly today are saying to you, we need you. Thank you all for coming.